T. Co, Chelsea, London Works, Sanitary Engineers, Chelsea, London. Now, I see what is supposedly my father yesterday, Derek Langlands, who was purported to be my biological father. I wasn't introduced to him until I was 15 years old, and that was at a pub in Queensway, Bayswater, West London, when he worked in the bars in West London. He now lives in Corby, but I don't believe he's my biological father. I think I've been had on that, and one of the main reasons I came to Northamptonshire was because he was living out here. But a lot of things have changed since I first arrived, and I've come to learn a lot of things about myself and my past. This place is just not right. It's the worst place that I could have ever have come to. I feel like I've been duped, psychologically duped and coerced into coming to somewhere which is basically a life sentence, a death sentence, a place where I'm not supposed to be. I'm supposed to be back in London. I'm not supposed to be here. This is not my home. I don't feel at home, and I never feel comfortable here. And I'm being tortured, literally being tortured by them. The leg problem with the clip applicator, so the genitofemoral nerve impingement, ilioinguinal nerve entrapment, whatever they've caused to happen to my leg under that fluoroscopy box whilst I was anaesthetised when I first arrived, was violatory. She had a clip applicator, similar to when females get clipped with their fallopian tubes being clipped, but with myself, she had an assortment of equipment out that day, ranging from needles that could have damaged the nerve in my quadriceps groin, maliciously on purpose, from where she made the hole in the leg. Then once she made the hole in the leg, she placed what looked like a catheter, but it turns out it's a trocar port. It's a laparoscopic port for lapro surgery. So she's made a hole in the top of my leg. Then she's pulled out, unfurled what looked like a piece of washing line with scissors on the end. It turns out that piece of washing line with scissors on the end is not a piece of washing line, it's an endo clip applicator, similar to a hemo clip applicator. They call them endo clip applicators. They're flexible, and they have about a 1.7 millimeter diameter circumference to them. So once she's made the hole in the top of the leg, it's very probable that she may have actually put the clip applicator through the hole at the inguinal crease under the flap of skin there, whilst I'm under the influence of contrast-assisted fluoroscopy. So she can see all of the vascular infrastructure of the leg, and it's very probable that she may have deployed a clip onto the external spermatic fascia or one of the other nerve branches in the anterior hip. So to cut a long story short, there's a tube, there's like a cord that runs through the top of each leg, the upper inner thigh, and it's like a tube, and it's called the external spermatic fascia, and it contains three things. It contains ductus deferens, which leads to the vas deferens, but it also contains the ilioinguinal nerve branch and the genitofemoral nerve branch. So both nerve branches run through this piece of tubing that runs through the anterior hip, top of the leg, upper inner thigh. And it's very, very probable, I'm not 100% sure about this, but there's a high probability factor that she has maliciously clipped the fascia in the anterior hip, upper inner thigh. Or has damaged a nerve, a major nerve branch on purpose under the fluoroscopy box. This is because of Dr. John James Hart of the Headlands, when I first arrived in Kettering, age 30, sends me for his bogus arthrogram procedure at Kettering General Hospital after the scan of the back. And it turns out when I get there was no scan of the back. They've had me in the operating theatre under a fluoroscopy box, anaesthetised with a lapro port over the top of my hip, having me surgically violated for an hour. It's bad news. This is not normal arthrogram procedure. A normal arthrogram procedure doesn't involve lapro ports, endo clip applicators, flexible endo clip applicators that deploy clips, and huge cutting needles that cut holes into the top of the leg through the inguinal crease, upper thighs, whereby they can place other things into the top of the leg. So for years and years, I was so sure that they'd left a surgical pin in the leg on purpose, or they'd just damaged nerve in the leg. But a lot of things have come back to my memory since the events of 2008. obviously, whilst anaesthetised and sedated, it's quite difficult to recollect what's happened at a procedure whilst under the influence of sedatives and anaesthesia. But as time's gone by, lots of little things have come back into my memory, like what was the catheter-looking thing over the top of my leg with the surgical drape? What was the flexible piece of wire with the pair of scissors on the end? It made no sense at the time. Well, it turns out it all makes a lot of sense. The catheter-looking thing's called a laproport. It's used for laparoscopic surgery. It was placed over my lap at the top of my leg whilst I was laid under a fluoroscopy box, anaesthetised. So that's a laproport. A trocar, so it looks like a catheter, but it's half a gel point laproport that obscured my view of what she was doing over the top of my leg. They kept on pushing me down onto the operating table, so I couldn't see what she was doing. And the flexible piece of wire is a clip applicator. It has a 360-degree rotation on it. With at the end with the scissors, it can be rotated, and it's very thin. It's 1.7, I think it's 1.77 millimeters circumference, and it deploys anything from a 2M clip upwards. So that's a clip applicator. What's she doing with a clip applicator at an arthrogram procedure? So there's only so many things they could have done to my leg maliciously when I was 30 years old, at the beck